Hi guys, my name's Melissa and this is my YouTube channel, Guts of Gloria and Gold. I created this YouTube channel a few months ago and this channel is dedicated towards people that have autoimmune diseases or invisible illnesses. And today's video is my story about how I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease and how I'm living with it today. I created this YouTube channel because when I was first diagnosed, I turned to Google, obviously, and everything was just so depressing and I felt like my entire life was over and that there was no hope for me. That's obviously not the case. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease back in 2013, and so I've learned a lot from having this disease, and this channel is dedicated to everyone else that has an autoimmune disease. I'm here to give my tips that I've learned, some nutritional information, and overall just let anyone know whether or not you're going through the diagnosis process or have had this for 50 years, you're not alone. Yeah, life has dealt you a pretty crappy card, but at the end of the day, life is what you make it, and I want to make sure that if you are going through a hard time, this is a channel here to support you. Telling my story was never a big priority for this channel because though it kind of surrounds me, I never really thought about the significance of my story. And I think also telling my story gives a personal touch to my channel. So let's just get started. So back in March 2013, that's kind of where this story starts. I was going to the gym almost every day. I started getting into running. I was even considering a vegetarian diet. So I was fairly healthy. And then all of a sudden, I just started having these really severe stomach pains to where I would bend over, I couldn't walk. And there were a few times where I actually did pass out from the pain. I had multiple hospitalizations, was under my primary care, and then I also started seeing a GI doctor, of course. This portion, the diagnosis portion, was just so drawn out. There is a specific blood test that you can take to see whether or not you have Crohn's disease, and that test alone takes 21 days to process. I also had colonoscopies, x-rays, MRIs, all of that stuff, but it wasn't until we had the colonoscopy and blood test to determine that I did have Crohn's disease. And at that point, we really didn't know what to do. I luckily have the best parents in the world. And so once my mom found out it was Crohn's disease, as soon as we got home, she turned to Google and found me the best doctor in San Francisco that specializes in Crohn's disease. So the pain started happening in March. I wasn't officially diagnosed until the very beginning of July. So first, let me explain a few things. An autoimmune disease is an irregular, abnormal response of your immune system. So basically, my body will look at my intestines, say, hey, something's wrong with that, and send white blood cells to attack that area. For Crohn's disease, it's where my immune system specifically attacks my large and small intestines, my colon and ileum. So as I said, I was fairly healthy before any of this started. Crohn's disease does not run in my family. Nobody in my family has an autoimmune disease, so I was just lucky, I guess. So I got to meet with my GI doctor in San Francisco, who was absolutely amazing, and I was hospitalized multiple times in San Francisco to deal with the inflammation. 2013 though was a very wild year because I not only graduated high school, but I was starting college at University of Arizona. A few of my doctors told me that I should hold off on going to college, but I was pretty stubborn and I didn't listen to them. And frankly, I don't know if that was a good or bad thing. That I learned a lot from my year at U of A, but I definitely suffered health-wise. So when I went to University of Arizona, I was at 60 milligrams of prednisone every day. I started Humira, and I had a GI doctor in Tucson that was absolute shit. He put me on methotrexate for a few months as well. This doctor was so focused on research that he really didn't care about his patients. And as much as I didn't like him, I also beat myself up because I wasn't my own advocate. He wasn't really paying attention to my blood test, to my x-rays. He just put me on methotrexate and just left it at that. But I wasn't doing well with my health and mentally. So not only was I struggling with accepting this new disease and this new way of life, I had insane brain fog that I ended up failing 2 classes, and I also was so physically weak that I would have to leave my dorm about 30 minutes before my class started because I had to take breaks walking. I couldn't walk just like a 10-minute walk to my classes. I had to break it up and sit down. My only saving grace during that time period was Chipotle. I know it sounds weird, but what I ate almost every single day was white rice, chicken, pico de gallo. That's it. I couldn't have beans, I couldn't have any fiber really, and I couldn't have dairy. Living on campus at U of A, and they don't have a cafeteria. They have Panda Express, Papa John's, a Burger King, so they really didn't have anything that I could eat or that was accommodating for me. So I finished my freshman year at U of A, and I didn't like it. So I came back home, and as soon as I saw my GI doctor in San Francisco, immediately he could tell that I was very sick and that I needed surgery. We did a few scans, and he saw that not only was I severely inflamed, my markers were out of the roof, but I started to have abscess in my intestines. An abscess is essentially a pool of bacteria hanging out in between your intestines. On top of that, my inflammation was so bad that there was fear that my intestines would start being pressed together too hard and fuse together. If that were to happen, that means I would have fecal matter running through my system and I would die of sepsis. My doctors at San Francisco, it's the California Pacific Medical Campus, by far the best experience I've ever had. They are so good at explaining information, and they made me feel so safe going through this because it was my first major surgery. So as I said before, Crohn's disease attacks the colon and ileum. So because of the scans that we did, we knew that my ileum would be the main target of the surgery, but it was also kind of just a general surgery and seeing what's going on. My surgeon said that performing surgery on me was kind of a fun experience because he saw my ileum, he knew that it needed to go. I did the incisions on both sides, ready to just take it out, but my ileum actually fused to a few intestines underneath. So he couldn't take it out. He just had to keep chopping away until he could take 2 large pieces out. I think all in all, they removed about 7 to 10 inches of my intestines. But the only thing that I really care about was my ileum. So luckily I have pretty proactive doctors, and I'm also a very proactive patient where I want to get going really fast. After surgery, I was essentially in remission completely, that we just needed to remove that one gigantic piece from my stomach. I was feeling so much better after that. But Crohn's disease, like any other autoimmune disease, is a lifelong disease. There is no cure. There's only preventative medication, and I was ready to start on that because I wanted to get my life back. We understood that Humira just wasn't working for me, and maybe because I was too far gone, I'm not sure, but it just wasn't working for me. So in October 2014, we started Remicade. And honestly, I really liked it, but it did not like me. By my 3rd session of Remicade, I had an allergic reaction. My throat closed up and I was injected with a bunch of prednisone, and I thought that was that. I felt pretty fine. After I was injected with prednisone, they gave me a Benadryl, and I said, hey, I'm ready to continue on with this medication. So we just finished that round. Wasn't the best idea though, because that night I ended up experiencing a lupus-like reaction. That doesn't mean I have lupus, but that means that I experienced the severe side effects of lupus, which is the unbelievable joint pain. I woke up and I just couldn't move. I felt like my entire body was paralyzed, but also completely submerged in the most intense pain I have ever experienced. I couldn't move. I was vomiting all over myself. I was shaking so hard. I felt like I was seizing almost. So for those that have lupus, oh my God, I wish I could just give you a hug and a muffin basket and an electric heating blanket, because that was the most terrifying thing of my life. And for me, that only lasted for about 2 days and then went away. So then another biologic did not work for me. But that's okay, because around January of 2015 is when I started Cimzia, and I am still on Cimzia. It is the best medication for me. It's perfect. I don't need to go into a hospital. I can do the injections myself, and I am just so happy with it. It's absolutely changed my life and has kept me in remission. I started my freshman year and finished it, so that was 2013, 2014. I took a year off, and then in September 2015, I started my college education again, and I moved to Denver and started school at University of Denver. I felt like I needed a clean slate, and I was so excited to start this journey in Denver. I learned from all of my mistakes at University of Arizona. I was stubborn, I felt like I could do this on my own, and I didn't advocate for myself to have a good doctor. So this time I made sure that I set up myself properly. I have an amazing doctor at the University of Colorado Health Hospital. He's beyond amazing, and they actually have a Crohn's and ulcerative colitis clinic within their GI center. I also set myself up at the Health and Counseling Center on campus so that they were educated on what I was going through. I had a really great relation with the nurses at the Health and Counseling Center because I, at that point, was not doing my own injections. I created a video about how to do self-injections with anxiety that I'll post somewhere over here or in the description box, but I just had so much anxiety I couldn't do it for a very long time. And then lastly, I worked with the Disabled Students Program, and I got my own dorm room with my own bathroom because I learned from my mistakes at U of A, and I had 2 roommates that were disgusting. So from 2015 to 2016, I got my life back. I started weightlifting. I traveled to DC, to Italy. I got to have that college experience with my friends, and I am so thankful for that. I submerged myself into weightlifting because I felt like it gave me a sense of control, and I could feel accomplished as I saw my weight increase, or the weight that I lifted increased. And as soon as you know it, I graduated with 2 bachelor's degrees. So around January of 2018, or I guess 2018 altogether, I really struggled with the side effects from my surgery, and I started experiencing and educating myself on all of the different side effects I get from Crohn's disease. So first off, I don't have an ileum anymore, meaning that I am very low on B12, which causes chronic fatigue, and your ileum reabsorbs bile acid produced by your liver. Your liver produces these bile salts when you start consuming fats like dairy, and I love dairy. So I really struggled with that. I have different medication that helps with that, but I also started learning about how to properly eat and what is best for my body. And I'm kind of kicking myself for learning how to properly eat when I'm symptomatic. I wish I taught myself how to properly eat before I started experiencing any symptoms. But that's okay, because that's how you learn, right? I started experiencing intestinal muscle spasms, meaning that I will experience the same amount of pain that I experienced before I was even diagnosed, where I would bend over and clutch my stomach and just be dripping with sweat because I would be in so much pain. And then it would go away. Because my intestines have gone through so much, they are traumatized. So at random, they'll just trigger and say, hey, I'm about to clench and freak out and cause massive amount of pain because this is what I'm used to. There's a medication for that as well, but also that's decreased a lot since I changed my diet. So now it is the very beginning of 2019. How am I doing now? Right now, I am seeking care to treat these symptoms I am experiencing from Crohn's disease. So right now, my Crohn's is doing great, and the inflammation in my body is the best it's ever been, but Crohn's disease is a all-in-one issue. I am seeking care from an ophthalmologist because of my eyes. They are becoming so dry that I can barely open them, and I'm also having an extremely difficult time seeing. I don't trust myself driving anymore, and that's just something that I am working on with doctors to better my eyesight. I now have inflammatory arthritis, which means that I just have inflammation around my joints, and it's extremely painful, but it's okay because I'm working with an amazing rheumatologist and I'm pushing forward. I have this running joke that even though I'm 23 years old, I'm secretly 73 with how much joint pain I have. But overall, I'm beyond happy with my health. I feel like I'm becoming happier and healthier every single day, and that's because at the very end of 2018 I changed my entire mindset when it came to my health. I am now constantly educating myself about my disease. I have become obsessed with the kitchen. I now cook almost every meal that I consume. I'm completely grain free, not gluten, grain. So the only exception to that might be rice or quinoa, but I still rarely ever eat that. With how my body has been, I kind of fell off the weightlifting wagon. I'm getting back into that, but also using plyometrics. And I'm just so focused on food where I kind of wish I became a chef. I feel like I'm constantly getting stronger, that I'm getting smarter and more educated, and that I'm becoming happier. And all of this like joy that I'm experiencing now in my life stems from me educating myself about my disease, about how I should properly eat, and being surrounded by the most amazing supportive people. When I was first diagnosed, my friends in high school, I have one left out of my group, they were all said, you need to do juice cleanses, you're not healthy. When I started gaining weight because of prednisone, which is a severe thing, everyone's like, oh my god, you're gaining weight, you need to lose weight, you need to start working out. They didn't understand that when you are diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, this is something you can't control. You didn't cause it, you can't cure it, it's not your fault. You can't cure this. This is a lifelong thing. My biggest advice for anyone that's being diagnosed or still struggling with the guilt of having an autoimmune disease is that you didn't cause it. Nobody knows what caused it. There's a bunch of theories, but honestly it's per person, and you did not cause this. You should not feel guilty. And I have learned that if somebody is making me feel less because I have an autoimmune disease, you know, maybe I can't keep up today, I'm experiencing a lot of fatigue. If they make me feel guilty over that, then that's their problem, not mine. My friends and family have now gone above and beyond what I thought friendship was. One of my best friends, Kendall, if she knows I'm having a bad day or if I just am not feeling all that best, she just shows up at my apartment. And I love that. Whenever I'm feeling sick or whenever there's something serious going on, my friends are there for me and they don't make me feel guilty or ashamed. So compared to a lot of other autoimmune diseases, I feel like you feel a lot more guilt and shame with Crohn's or ulcerative colitis because you're talking about your poop, and that's, you know, a taboo subject or whatever, but we all do it. And in my adult life, there have been multiple times I have pooped my pants, and I have no shame in that. My life now isn't all sunshine and rainbows, but I'm significantly more happy. Diagnosis and basically the first year and a half of me dealing with Crohn's, that was the most difficult time of my life. I was lonely and I felt like a failure, and I felt like I somehow deserved this punishment, which isn't the case. There are multiple days where Crohn's still kicks my butt, and my life is not all sunshine and rainbows, but I am doing the best I can to focus on the good and take control of my life the best that I can. I can't control my pain, that well, but I can control everything I do to distract me from the pain, like cooking a 5-course meal and making somebody else do the dishes. So the diagnosis happened in 2013. It's now the beginning of 2019, and I never told my family. My mom and dad know. My aunt visited me in the hospital once, and I have one cousin that I bond with because she also has an autoimmune disease. But my family doesn't know, and now you know. A lot of my friends had no clue that I was struggling with this, and now you know. And I hope that this video somehow gets to whoever that is going through the diagnosis process or is just struggling with their diagnosis. I promise you it gets better. That there are times where it kicks your ass and there are times where you want to give up, but don't, because I promise it gets better. And I also should mention that I have had a lot of therapy in the past 5 years. My best advice to whoever is watching this video: educate yourself on your diagnosis to the best of your ability in every single thing. Like how Crohn's disease isn't just limited to my stomach. It affects my eyes, it affects my joints, it affects my skin, everything. To people who have loved ones that have an autoimmune disease, educate yourself and don't be a dick. There are times where I made plans with my friends and then have to cancel for whatever reason that Crohn's wants to give me that day. And through trial and error and picking out the best friends out of them all, if I have to cancel plans from going out and doing something, everybody just comes over here and we all just sit on the couch and have a lazy day, because friendship and loving somebody is being there no matter what. That is the biggest gift that Crohn's disease has ever given me. I don't know why I'm so emotional. So that's my story. I would appreciate a lot if you guys would share this video, whether you just share it on Facebook or if you know somebody that's struggling. Like I said, a lot of people in my life for the past 5 years had no clue that I had this diagnosis and I was struggling with this. And so I can guarantee you that there's somebody you know that is also struggling with whatever diagnosis they're dealing with. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Please check out all of the other videos I have posted. So from here on out, I will be posting videos dedicated to people that have autoimmune diseases like chronic fatigue, chronic pain, nutritional information, just all of these tips and things that I've learned from dealing with a autoimmune disease. So for everyone who is watching this video and for everyone that has an autoimmune disease, remember you are never alone. I'm here with you, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. I'm hooked on a feeling. I'm hyperventilating. Jump in love with me.